Countdown to kickoff continues. The Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins kickoff weekend of the National Football League, and the analyst for CBS Sports on the telecast this week. He's been with CBS since 2014, 15 years as an NFL quarterback for 5 different teams. It's our first chance to visit with Trent Green. And what a way to start, Trent. How are you?
I tell you what, JP, I was fired up when the assignments go out, and to see this matchup in week one. We're really lucky to be covering this game because I think it's two of the teams that are going to be right in the hunt, not only for the playoffs, but to make a splash in the AFC. Two young quarterbacks that just got new contracts, two teams that they got new defensive coordinators because they wanted to change up that side of the ball. Third-year head coaches. There's a lot of excitement around both of these organizations, both of these teams, and plenty of star players in both rosters. So yeah, we're excited for this one.
Let's start with one of those quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, of course, $55 million per year annual salary on average. So it's his third year with Doug Peterson, right? We know what happened in his rookie year. We've seen him grow. Last year, though, he's banged up a lot. Why is this the right time for him? Can he take that next step, and why will he?
Well, I certainly think that the Jaguars hope so, and Shad Khan definitely does because he agreed to pay that contract. So I do think he's ready for that next step. I think Doug has proven himself as someone, not only as a player and a coach, but someone that knows quarterbacks, knows the position, is a good play caller, has put guys in position to have success, having won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, and you look at even though it's the same record in year one and year two, winning a playoff game, having that type of experience, having guys on the roster that know what that's like. And I think it's important when you look at the talent that's around Trevor. There's no reason why this can't be his best season. I think last year, you brought up the fact that he was dealing with some injuries, and you look early on in the season prior to those cumulative effect of those injuries, he was having a heck of a season. And I do think he'll continue to get better. I think that there'll be an emphasis in the offseason about the turnovers. I know the rest of the NFL and the rest of the country likes to talk about the fumbles and the interceptions and and all that stuff. And that's part of growing as a quarterback. I know my first couple years, and I was much older by the time I got thrown. It took me 5 years to get on the field. The game's faster. Things are happening. Defenses are trying to confuse. As I've tried to prep this week, getting ready for the game, seeing some of the things that the defenses were doing to him a year ago, trying to cause confusion, giving a zone look, but being man-to-man, having man-to-man with a deep safety zone, but then also having a couple robbers in the middle of the field. I mean, they were really trying to confuse him, and there were times that he was confused based on, I think it's pretty obvious from a turnover standpoint. But I think all those things, as you continue to grow and learn in this league, those things start to slow down. You start to see things better. And I think that's what kind of culminates and puts him in position to have success.
Trent, we know this offense runs really through Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. That's where they would like it to go a lot. But they've got 2 new pieces this year at wide receiver, and Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. How difficult can it be to bring 2 new pieces of your offense in at the skill positions? And you know how they like to throw this football around. So, how difficult is that for a quarterback to get those guys on the same page?
Well, I think it's important. Once again, I'll go back to the health. These guys have had all off season. They've had, training camp, just like everybody. Not many people play in the preseason, but, you get that work. You just need to continue the timing of it. Going back and looking at last year's film, breaking down some of the late season interceptions and turnovers that Trevor had and some of the things defenses were doing. There was also some miscommunication with the receivers at that time, with Calvin Ridley, with Zay Jones, and some of the balls that weren't, I wouldn't necessarily say his fault, but I got to be careful to protect quarterbacks because I'm always looking to protect quarterbacks. But I do think that's an important part of it because I know the timing of it, getting the ball out of your hands on time, guys being in the right spots, all those things are important. Gabe Davis has proved himself a big playmaker, huge playmaker for Josh Allen up in Buffalo. So I think he's going to add a nice dimension to this. And then you never know with rookies. I know they're hoping that he jumps in and Thomas jumps in and makes a splash right away. I think there could be some growing pains. It's trying to learn the league and learning defenses and the way the DBs are going to defend him and the way coordinators are going to defend him. It helps having the talent around him to get some one-on-ones, but that'll remain to be seen how much he's involved. And I know they want to get him involved, but it's nice having a running back like Etienne also that you can rely on the run game a little bit as well.
Trent Green, CBS Sports with us. Tua Tagovailoa, another one that got a contract in the offseason. He's got an injury history. That's one side of this thing, but he also has a history in the recent history of putting up a lot of yards with some speedy receivers around him. So this was one where was this a toss-up for you? Was this the right time to pay Tua?
I think it was for Tua as well. I think when you look at the type of quarterback that Tua was, and a lot has been made of this just because of the recent comments that Tua had about Brian Flores and the previous regime and what Mike McDaniel has meant to him. I know, having covered Miami, for the last 10, 11 years, the different coaches, and I was there when Tua was with Brian Flores, and his personality changed substantially when Mike McDaniel came in. He would come into our meetings as a different player, and I remember him leaving that first year with Mike McDaniel and just saying, "Gosh, he's carrying himself differently. He's feeling differently about his game." And to see the comments that happened this year, you can see, all you got to do is turn on the tape and look at the type of player he was 3 seasons ago and what he's been the last 2 years. I think that Mike has instilled that confidence in him. I think the play scheming and the design of the offense fits well into what Tua likes to do. If you see the ball gets out of his hands as quick as anybody in the league. So a lot of that is play design. And then when plays don't break down, having a world-class sprinter like Tyreek back there, tends to help things a little bit. So I do think it was the right time to pay Tua, and I just think he fits well into what Mike McDaniel wants to get done. And I know there were people, that weren't really excited about it, but I think based on what he's done the last 2 years, the fact that he was able to stay healthy a year ago for the most part, and the way he fits in what Mike wants to get done, I think this all makes sense.
You mentioned Tyreek. Jalen Waddle can fly. Raheem Mostert can fly. Oh, yeah. Devon Achane can fly. So how do you recommend defending this group with all these speed guys, Trent?
Well, it's, it really kind of comes back. It's one of two ways. You're either going to rush 3, drop 8, cause confusion, right? You've seen defenses cause problems for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, right? When they drop 3 or rush 3, drop 8. Try and put pressure on them with 3 if you can do that, or rush 4, drop 7. When you decide to bring pressure, you better make sure you don't give up the big play. And I think that's the thing is the timeliness of it. Okay, it's like you got to pick which way you want to attack it. You got to continue to cause confusion. You got to continue to mix things up because if you go, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to bring 5, 6 man pressures. We're going to go man to man. Eventually you're going to get it burned because you can't match up with all that speed, all those guys you just mentioned. If you decide to go zone the whole time, they'll sit there, and that's when they get the Achane Mostert thing going and the screens and the quick bubbles and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you're gonna keep it under control, but your time of possession is going to be 2 to 1. So I think the biggest thing, is really just is mixing it up. Teams have had success against Miami doing that. Teams have had success against some of the other high-powered offenses around the league doing that. You can't just stick to one formula because of those types of weapons.
Great stuff. Appreciate the time. Looking forward to kickoff weekend, man. Let's do it again down the road. That means the Jaguars are in a good place if you and Kevin Harlan are on the game, I must say.
I hope so. I hope we do, because I think, I think the Jaguars have a special season coming up, and this is going to be an exciting one, week 1, and hope to see you a bunch down the road.